It was Vincent Astrolabio over Guillermo Rigondeaux in the upset. Let's talk about it. Well, even though Guillermo Rigondeaux is 41 years old, it still is considered an upset that Vincent Astro beat him by decision in the 10-round fight that they had today. I actually thought that Rigondeaux would win this fight by, I'm going to be honest, boring decision, but instead he ends up losing the fight. Now, let's talk about the pros and the cons. Let's start with Vincent Astro first. I like the fact that he used his youth. He's 24 years old, and what I mean by he used his youth is that he knew who he was standing in front of. He knew the fighter that was standing opposite him, and he knew that he was going to have to bring some action to beat a defensive fighter like Guillermo Rigondeaux. I like the fact that he was using his jab. I like the fact that he was going upstairs. I like the fact that he was going downstairs. I even like the fact that he was circling Rigondeaux and trying to be offensive minded. I like the fact that he was winging a wide right hand trying to catch Rigondeaux, because when you fight a guy like that, you kind of have to throw shots from different angles to try to get to him. The cons would be, I really can't give him any cons, and the main reason is because I don't really know a lot. I really don't know anything about this guy. I can only go by what I saw today, and what I saw today, as I can't really give him any cons because I think he went in there to not be an opponent, which I respect, and he went in there trying to at least win the fight and not lay down. As for Guillermo Rigondeaux, the pros would be, I give him props for still fighting at 41 years old. I give him credit for the fact that his hands are still fast and his defensive skills are still sharp. And I give him credit for being more offensive minded in this fight, which really had a lot more to do with Vincent. As for the cons, even though I said that Rigondeaux was more offensive, he needed to be a little bit more offensive to win this fight. Let's talk about the fight. It actually was a pretty decent fight. Now, you haven't heard me say that in a while about a Guillermo Rigondeaux fight, that I was fairly entertained and it was a decent fight. Usually, even though I watch him fight, his fights are generally a bore fest. In the last Rigondeaux video that I did, I mentioned that if he ever was to fight Inoue, that I thought that it would be a good fight due to the fact that I believe that Inoue would bring the fight to Guillermo Rigondeaux. He knows what kind of fighter that would be in front of him, and he knows that you have to be more offensive to get him out of his defensive shell. So that's why I always thought that that fight would be a good fight, which is exactly what Vincent did in this fight. He was a little more offensive minded, which made Guillermo Rigondeaux move his hands quite a bit more. In the 8th round, when we got the knockdown, I really think it was more of a flash knockdown. At least that's what I thought in the beginning, because Guillermo Rigondeaux seemed to be flat-footed, and when he got caught, he went flat down and he got up. And when he got up, he didn't look hurt. But as the next 30 seconds actually went by in that round, I kind of wasn't sure at that point, because he was doing a lot of holding, which made me think that he might have been hurt. Now, he could have done it to keep Vincent off of him, because Vincent was very offensive-minded after he knocked Rigondeaux down. But I kind of thought that maybe Rigondeaux was holding him because he was just trying to keep him off of him, and not the fact that he was hurt. You all can be the judge of that and let me know what you think. Anyway, we get to the end of the fight. Guillermo Rigondeaux loses. So where do we go from here? Now, I'm going to be very honest. I never seen Vincent Astrolabio fight before. I'm just going to be honest with you. I never saw him fight before. I never heard of him. And I don't think that this fight over Guillermo Rigondeaux, even though BoxRec already has him ranked in the top 10, they have him at 9, I think, because of this win. I really don't think that that means that he's in line for a big fight. I don't think beating Guillermo Rigondeaux puts you in line for a big fight. So I'm not exactly sure where he goes from here. Does Guillermo Rigondeaux try to get a rematch with this young kid and try to do better the next time in order for him to line up a big fight? Or does this kid, did he do good enough to move on to maybe get a better fight? As far as Guillermo Rigondeaux, I'm sure he's not going to retire. He didn't take a beating in that fight. His defensive skills are still sharp. And I do think because of name value, I still could see Rigondeaux getting a big fight. I'm just going to be very honest. I could see Rigondeaux coming back in 3 months, because he wasn't hurt in this fight, fighting someone who he can beat, and then calling out Inoue, and then getting that Inoue fight, and the Inoue would, more likely put an end to him there. So, but maybe he can get one payday before it's out. But as far as Vincent goes, what do you all want to see? Do you agree with me that he hasn't made it to that top level yet to get one of those big fights, or do you disagree and think that that win over Guillermo Rigondeaux puts him up there against the big boys on that top five in the bantamweight division? And what about Guillermo Rigondeaux? What do you want to see him do? Do you want to maybe see him retire? Do you want to maybe see him do a rematch with Vincent? Or kind of like I'm thinking, do you maybe want to see him go a different direction, beat someone, hopefully convincingly, and then maybe he can get that money fight against NUA? Either way it goes, give me your thoughts and give me your comments. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so we can keep talking boxing. Other than that, that's all I got, fight fans. Holla at y'all later.